let me tell you what happened in the Garfield movie. What happened is I had a fucking great time. That's what happened in the Garfield movie. I had a great time because here's why I had a great time. To use the oldest phrase in the book, I laughed and I cried. That's what I did. I did both. It's funnier than you think it's going to be. It hit its comedic beats really nicely. It didn't. It edged into this, but it didn't. To me, it did not over rely on this this new terrible, Office, Parks and Rec kind of humor that has just seeped into everything. It didn't over rely on that just happened. Okay. It did not over. It had a lot of like classic comedy beats in it that were really funny. It simultaneously did Garfield. It did what you want from Garfield. He's eating lasagna, he's laying around, and he hates Mondays. And I'm like, I was like weirdly exhilarated by how much I liked the classic Garfield beats. I was reminded why those beats existed in the first place. I was like reminded. It was the kind of thing where I was like reminded of why cliches are cliches, kind of a thing. I was like just watching Garfield being like, fucking Monday? Fuck Mondays. I just want to sit here and sleep in and eat lasagna. And I was like, yeah, Garfield. Fuck Mondays. So I was really on board with the whole Garfield thing.
All right, you're pro Garfield.
But then, of course, because I had somehow forgotten what year it was, because in my mind I was like, Garfield movie, okay, it's gonna be like the case of the missing lasagna. No, it's like a massive, like expansive adventure story involving Garfield and his estranged dad, and there's tons of like lore and hijinks and all this stuff. I was like, oh right, of course, movies in 2024. It's just gotta be so over the top. But I thought they like, as wild as the story was, I thought it kind of like hung on the whole time. The plane never sort of crashed. It always sort of kept it steady. There's some like weirdly striking, almost like David Lynchian moments in the, like when they're going to that burned out shopping mall where like the bad guys live. It was like there were some like weirdly like surreal gothic kind of like moments in the movie that were
there
fun.
was a
lot
lot
of fun.
A lot of tips of the old hat.
Yes.
To movies we love.
Yes, yeah. So and it was also, I will say, it hit me with some freaking gut punches. I cried in this movie. It was like, and I don't think it's just because I was having like a weird one. Like this movie hit some real hard emotional notes. And I mentioned this on the Movies Baby Socials, but there's a famous, if you know the scene from that old movie Stella Dallas, which is a movie with Barbara Stanwyck that you'll see in like Oscar montages and stuff. There's a classic scene where Stella Dallas, who is this like, she's an independent woman in the 30s, which means she's just going to be miserable and her life is going to end in the gutter. So she's an independent woman, which means she like can't raise her kid, this and that, but she makes the decision to give her kid to like put her kid in like a better situation with another family, so that the kid can have a better life. And then she like at the very end of the movie comes back, and her daughter is getting married into like this rich family and this great situation that's going to set her up for the rest of her life. And Stella Dallas and the girl is like, oh, I wish my mother was here. And then all her new friends are like, maybe she didn't know you were getting married. And then they cut to the outside the wedding, and Stella Dallas, the mom, is outside the wedding looking through the rainy window, and she's just so happy that her daughter is happy now, even if she can't be with her. And it's so fucking melodramatic and sad. They do that in the Garfield movie. They do that scene beat for beat. They had to know. It has to be intentional.
It's the same thing.
Yes, it's so beat for beat with Garfield's estranged dad and this isn't like, this happens, kind of midway through the movie. But basically Garfield thinks he's been abandoned by his dad. And then that's when he finds John Arbuckle in the Italian restaurant, and then they like bond and he eats his pizza and blah, blah, blah. Later in the movie, you find out his dad was tirelessly trying to find him food throughout the city and kept getting like shooed away from alleys and things like that. Finally finds a sardine, brings it back to little Garfield. Garfield is missing. Oh no, where's my son? Oh my God, where's my son? And then he sees him through the window of the Italian restaurant with John Arbuckle. You're getting sad. Look, you're getting sad thinking about this. I recounted this scene to Amy in the car at like 10 a.m. She was like, stop talk. I can't, like, you're going to make me cry. I can't, like, Garfield's dad comes up to the window, sees little Garfield and John Arbuckle sharing a pizza. And he's like, this is better for him. I'm just gonna let him go with John.
Brett.
I'm not.
Brett.
You're dying. I'm telling you.
I cried.
Right? Gut wrenching.
I sat alone
Gut-wrenching.
in the movie theater at like 11 a.m. bawling.
Gut wrenching.
It like hurt my stomach. I was like, oh, like grabbing my stomach, like
Yes.
tears rolling down my eyes,
Gut-wrenching.
like trying not to cry because I look insane. But holy moly, that moment made me cry. Maybe it's because we have sons. Added a little extra spice to it.
Surely added,
but also like if you have a heart,
human,
you're dying.
Just a
you're
human.
gonna die.
Yes, and we're not. And they like double down and do like a second
sad.
Stella Dallas move later on, which I'm not going to give away. Like, but like they, oh my god, dude, the Garfield movie. I have not like cried that hard in a movie.
No,
for a
I know.
minute,
I know. I really cried. All that to be said, though, Brett, if I may, you know, it's not that good. It's just for the record, like it's fine. Like the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, I was like, this is fine, but like honestly, like I can't do another one of these for like 5 years until I can take Enzo, because watching this movie alone, call me a big old grump. I was just like, all right, like here I am.
I liked it.
I didn't like. I mean,
I liked it.
I didn't like it. That being said.
What about when Garfield's catapulting back and forth across the train?
Right. It's okay. It's not, look, like Brett said, it has some laughs. It has some cries.
They cracked Odie.
If you have a kid, they did crack Odie.
You didn't think they could crack Odie.
Great.
You thought Odie was just the dumbest fucking character ever. They cracked Odie.
Odie's awesome. In this film, not spoiler alert, Odie, he's the smart one. Pretty good. And but you know, ultimately at the end of the day, it's just a fucking another movie. It's fine. Mark Dindal, I believe, is the director, how you pronounce his name. He directed this movie. He made my favorite animated movie of all time, one of the greatest comedies ever, one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. No, The Emperor's New Groove.
Wow.
The Emperor's New Groove is like the height of animated comedy. It's as funny as any movie can be. Every single bit is killer, looks beautiful. It's one of my favorite movies. One time I saw Eartha Kitt stage door after a play, and I made her sign my Emperor's New Groove VHS. She loved it. Everyone else around me was so mad at me and thought I was a suck up and told me to shut the fuck up.
That's a fun story.
But anyway, I love that movie. Garfield movie, not that good.
It's
not
great.
that good compared to Emperor's New Groove. It's totally fine. If you're a child, I would check it out. If you're an adult,
or if you're an adult man.
If you're an adult man or woman, I don't know. If you like animated movies, then this might, or for children about Garfield, this might be for you.
Joe, what about that final fight scene where he uses like all the Italian food as his like weapons? Wasn't that fun? He's like throwing spaghetti at the.
No, you know what that scene made me think is like, I was like, oh my God, drones are ubiquitous now. Like children know what drones are.
This is
part of our life.
This is why you did not have fun. Is I had the same thought and then I ignored that thought and focused on the fact that he was using spaghetti to fight the bad guys.
I was just like, wow, drones are like very much a thing that everyone knows
I did
about.
Think that too.
Whatever, not the Garfield movie's fault. That's just facts.
I did think that too.
I was just like, wow, it's interesting.
I wish they could have figured out another way to get the Italian food to him besides the delivery.
I'm not making a moral judgment on the film. I'm just saying, like, wow, we're really in a time when everybody on the planet knows what drones are and what they do and how to use them. Like, that's crazy.
Here's the one bad part about the Garfield movie.
The one bad part about the Garfield movie?
The one bad part about the Garfield movie is that
it's good. It's fine. It's just a movie. What's the bad part?
Well, is the Chris Pratt of it all. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I had the same thought when I watched Super Mario Brothers, because I was going into Super Mario Brothers being like, oh, they got fucking Chris Pratt to do Mario. Right. Are you fucking kidding me? And then I watched it and I was like, okay, I get it. It is the ultimate. It's the safest thing you can do as a studio is to hire Chris Pratt to do your VO on your big, in your big IP cartoon animated project, because what Chris Pratt is going to deliver is a perfectly reasonable B-. He's not like clockwork. He's going to give you a B-. You don't have to get into a high risk, high reward situation where like you could get an A, but you might get a C. He is going to give you a perfectly lukewarm B-. He's going to do all your press. He's going to be middle America charming on all your talk shows. He's not going to he's going to say things that piss off people like us, but don't register at all to the majority of people who are going to end up going to the Garfield movie. He is the safest corporate safe, company man bet you can possibly make. That's why Chris Pratt keeps getting these gigs, is because he, like, all you have to do is go, oh, Chris Pratt's available, great, we can check that box and we don't have to think about it. We don't have to worry a second about what's about to happen. We're gonna get a B- VO, which is fine, and we're gonna get a perfectly, like, wide net accessible, white middle America person that can market this movie. So it is just a business decision. It's like the accountant cast the movie. It's like it is a business decision.
The insurance company.
And I hate it, because it means that we don't get what is like the tightrope thrill of movies, which is like movies that could go horribly wrong or wonderfully great. You don't, like, Chris Pratt is the death of that. That's the funnest part about going to a movie.
Risk.
Is it could swing wildly in either direction. Chris Pratt is like, I'm gonna lock this movie into a B-, and it ain't going, and I'm gonna, like, strangle it there.
Last word.
In a way, he's the death of movies in that sense.
And literally $22 million Memorial Day weekend Garfield movie.
Yeah, I thought you were a big shot, Chris. What happened to Garfield movie?
Last thing on this, Chris Pratt played Super Mario Brothers. He didn't do Italian voice. Wrong. I speak for all Italians when I say, next time you do Mario, folks, make him as weirdly stereotypically Italian as possible. I want Roberto Benigni playing Mario. I want big voice. I want the whole kit and caboodle. And Garfield,
I agree.
He's ushered into the family, in the La Familia, because he loves lasagna. I'm claiming him as Italian American cat. Where was my Italian American accent on Garfield? If I see one more whitewashing of Italian American animated character, I'm going to lose my shit. That's all.